Hello, everybody. This is the Daydreamer with Daydreams and Nightmares, and welcome to my comic collection Wednesdays. We are still working my way through. We are working our way through the Valiant comic books in my collection. We only have three different uh, characters left in the Valiant world that I have not shown off yet. Current one we are looking at is the Eternal Warrior. May have mentioned him before. His name is Galad. He's one of three brothers that are natural-born immortals. Aram, also known as Armstrong, is part of the Archer and Armstrong story. And the other one is Var, who is the Time Walker. And these three brothers were born in 3000 BC, and you have storylines that go all the way up into the 41st and 42nd centuries, so 4,000 years into the future from zero date. So the entire story span of the Eternal Warrior covers somewhere between 7 and 8,000 years. So needless to say, there are a lot of different approaches to these stories. Some look back along that entire time span where he will jump into the stories that take place in the future with Magnus, and those that take place in the 41st century. There's some that take place with Bloodshot as well during that period of time as well. Some take place during the current period of time, which is in the late 20th century, around 1990s, when we were actually these books actually came out. Anyway, he has that much experience as well as a warrior. When you have that kind of 4,000 to I don't even know what I'm talking about here. Anyway, it's like from the time that he was born all the way until the time that you see him in those stories in the future. That's 7,000 years of fighting experience. Not to mention the fact that he has enhanced strength, agility, and healing ability as part of being an immortal. This follows the storyline of Galad. This is the Eternal Warrior, once again. That is his name. Let's get into these books. We have the Eternal Warrior, which encompasses 50 issues, from 1 all the way up to 50. Unlike a lot of the other ones in the Valiant world, there is no Zero origin story, because you kind of get glimpses at his storyline along the way. There is a yearbook. Actually, there are 2 yearbooks in this series as well, besides the books and stories. And this one actually starts off right away, issue number 1, already in the Unity event, the crossover event. This one's a chapter 2 of that for Valiant. This comes in 2 different forms. It had a regular version and a gold version. Cover art here is done by Frank Miller, and stories done by Jim Shooter. Let's go on. Number 2. Eternal Warrior number 2. Cover art here is done by Walt Simonson. Story again done by Jim Shooter. Chapter number 10 of the Unity crossover event. Also in the inside of this book, the centerfold is actually a diagram that shows you how to take a number of the different titles that can't come out around the same time and how to make them into a poster. Here we go. Number 3. I do believe that's Aram or Armstrong on the cover there with his brother Galad. Cover art here is done by John Dixon. Once again, stories done by Jim Shooter. Do really like this cover. This is one of the, within the Valiant world, one of the grails. Fortunately, I do have a little bit of damage in a corner up here. This is the very first appearance of Bloodshot is in this book as a cameo, not a full appearance, but a cameo of Bloodshot. Cover art here is done by Yvel Guichet and John Dixon. Storyline is done by Kevin Van Hook. And it's also the first time we kind of get introduced to the Eternal Enemy. There is, throughout his entire lifetime, the Eternal Warrior has an enemy that continues to try to kill him. It's not that they are immortal or that they are an eternal. The eternal enemy is a continual enemy because it is reincarnated in somebody else's body and continues to try to pursue and kill the eternal warrior. So he will, throughout his entire lifetime, run into the re-embodiment and reincarnation of his eternal enemy. And then, of course, the other big enemy within the storyline of the Eternal Warrior is also Master Dark, who we've seen in some of the other ones I've shown off as well. We have Eternal Warrior number 5 featuring Bloodshot. Cover art here is done by John Dixon. Story is done by Kevin Van Hook. Number 6, Eternal Warrior. Cover here done by Barry Windsor Smith. And storyline also done by Barry Windsor Smith. Both this and the following book follow the Eternal Warrior, Master Dark, and Jeff the Geomancer. Both books and stories are both done by Barry Windsor Smith. Okay, number 10. Now, you didn't notice we go from number 7 to number 10. For some reason, I do not have 8 or 9. It's been so long ago, I don't know why I didn't get them. Number 10, which is the next one in this line here. You have cover art done by Mark Moretti and John Dixon. And story done by Kevin Van Hook. That'll be the same artist and storyline for the next one as well. This one takes place in World War II Germany. Eternal Warrior number 12. Another storyline that brings another reincarnated version of the Eternal Enemy for the Eternal Warrior. Cover number 12 here is done by Mark Moretti and Jim Palmiotti. Van Hook and Moretti are both on story for this one as well. Okay. And in this one, actually, next story, the Eternal Enemy actually possesses the Eternal Warrior, so that's why you get the Eternal Enemy is actually inside the Eternal Warrior on this time around. Number 13, cover art done by Mark Moretti and Stan Drake. And then Kevin Van Hook and Moretti are also on story for this. Eternal Warrior number 14. Appearance by Bloodshot. Cover art here for number 14 is also done by Mark Moretti and Stan Drake, with Van Hook and Moretti on story on this one as well. Of course, you have Bloodshot in the next one. Actually, he's part of the next 2 storylines for the books number 15 and 16. Covers by Yvel Guichet and Rodney Ramos on both this one and the next one. And like I said, we do feature Bloodshot in the storyline for these 3 books here, 14, 15, and 16. And story done by Mark Moretti on both this and the next one, number 16 here. Eternal Warrior number 17, Master Dark is back, and the storyline in this particular group of stories, numbers 17, 18, and 19, we get a little biblical. Story of Master Dark trying to get his hands on the 30 gold coins paid to Judas for betraying Jesus. And it's Master Dark's pursuit of those 30 coins that encompasses these next 3 books. Cover art here for number 17 is by Ted Halstead and Stan Drake. Both Mark Moretti and Kevin Van Hook on story. Once again, featuring Master Dark here. Once again, cover art for number 18 here is Ted Halstead and Stan Drake with Kevin Van Hook on story. All featuring Master Dark and storyline here as well. 19. Last bit of the story involving the 30 gold coins. Once again, Halstead and Drake on cover, Van Hook on writing, and we do have Dr. Mirage and Carmen Ruiz also appearing in the story here. Eternal Warrior 20, standalone story. We have cover art by Ted Halstead and Mike DiCarlo, Kevin Van Hook on story. And as you can see, access denied, problem with his papers. He finds himself stuck in Saudi Arabia. Eternal Warrior number 21. Cover art by Ted Halstead and Mike DiCarlo and Kevin Van Hook on story. Eternal Warrior number 22. Cover art by Andrew Wendell and Pat Boyette with story by James Perham. And this is one of those issues that includes that free Upper Deck Valiant era card inside as well. Eternal Warrior number 23. Another one of those stories that takes place in the past. Specifically, I believe it was, here we are, 326 BC in India. Cover art here is by Ted Halstead and Mike DiCarlo, Kevin Van Hook on story. This is the last of the books that I have in my run. Once again, I did say there were 50 books. I have the first 23 minus 8 and 9. Plus, there were 2 yearbooks that were written as well. I do have a couple copies of Eternal Warrior yearbook number 1. And that is it for my run of the Eternal Warrior. Hope you enjoyed checking out all these covers, hearing about stories. Maybe you go check it out. Enjoyed the video, hit like, subscribe if you want to watch more. Feel free to leave any feedback or comments down below. And thank you for watching.